Hello everyone, Stoney here. In this video we will be looking at a few different styles of armour stands and a few tips on how to make them. It always seemed a shame to me that we make these beautiful costumes and they end up in a box or a cupboard. So I decided to make these basic stands that I could take to meets and set up for people to look at. They're simple, inexpensive and reasonably easy to build once you know how. The important thing when designing them is that they hold the costume in the correct position, so be prepared to do a lot of measuring, testing and modifying. The first style we'll look at is probably the most versatile. It suits most costumes, though it can be difficult to get clothing onto it. The costume's body hangs from the shoulders, and the struts for the arms are just thick enough for a snug fit. The piece of foam at the top is to give the helm a bit more height and provide a bit of cushioning. I always split the leggings to make it easier to get them on and off, otherwise you'll need to make the leg struts detachable. This next style is just a body form with a freestanding base. To help it stand up straight, there are two dowel rods attached to the base that extend all the way up through the body form to the shoulders. This body form doesn't have a head either, so I cut a hole in the neck and inserted a rod for the helm. Although it's really easy to build and looks great, the big downside of this style is that you've now lost use of your body form. I usually do this with each body form anyway, since it makes it easier to work with, but I don't recommend it as a display stand. The last style here is basically just a vertical plank with a short rod for a coat hanger. The whole costume hangs off the coat hanger, so make sure it is strong enough to carry the weight. Instead of a helm, this costume has a crown, so I used a short length of wood and rounded the ends to create a snug fit. This design is really easy to build and is great for dresses, but it doesn't really provide any body to fill out the dress, so the hang can look a little bit off. If you want, you can mount some pieces of foam to fill it out, or even just stuff some small balloons up there, whatever works. Rather than do a step-by-step guide, I'm just going to give you a few tips on construction, since each stand will need to be customised anyway. Whenever you cut a piece of wood, immediately go over it with a piece of sandpaper and break all the sharp edges. You're going to need to sand it eventually anyway, and if you do it now, then you can avoid any nasty cuts and splinters. When screwing two bits of timber together, mark out where you want it joined and always drill pilot holes in the top piece. This will not only keep the screws straight and in the right position, but it will also help pull the pieces together. Also, keep the screws back a bit from the edge or you might split the timber. Align the pieces in the correct position and press down so that the first screw makes a mark in the bottom piece. Then use this mark to drill a short pilot hole and drive the first screw home. Now use a carpenter square to make sure everything is aligned properly, then drive the second screw home. If you're worried about the pieces moving, you can clamp them together or remove the second screw and drill the second pilot hole a little ways into the bottom piece. If you ever need to cut two or more pieces at the same length, a good idea is to align them at one end and mark them all at the same time. Here I'm putting together a shoulder piece, and you can see I'm trying to keep everything as even and square as possible. If you're not careful during the build, your stand will end up crooked and your costume will look all lopsided. This is the base for the body form stand, and you can see I'm adding some extra reinforcing to the bottom of the dowels. It's important to make the base extra strong, as this is where most of the stresses and strain will occur. I also added some hot glue as I want the join to be really snug and secure. A quick tip if you want to cut dowels square and you don't have a drop saw is you can wrap a piece of paper around the dowel to mark the line. Mounting dowels in the correct position can be a little tricky, so I use a spade bit to create a nice accurate station. This is also useful as a guide to drill the pilot hole in the centre of the dowel. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video.